Welcome back, everyone, to Echoes of Ihsan.
Yes.
And today we're diving into something a little different, something I find really
Mhm.
fascinating.
Absolutely.
We're going to be looking at the Prophet Muhammad's dietary habits and teachings.
Yes.
And for this deep dive, we're going to be exploring Sahih Bukhari Hadith, Book 65,
Okay.
Food Meals,
Sounds good.
a collection of sayings and practices that offer a really unique window into the past.
Yes.
It's amazing to think that centuries-old wisdom about food can still be relevant to us today.
Oh, absolutely. I think what's so captivating about these hadiths is that they go beyond simply listing what the prophet ate or didn't eat.
Right.
It reveals this holistic philosophy encompassing social responsibility,
Hmm.
personal conduct, and even spiritual symbolism related to food. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a treasure trove of insights for anyone seeking to live a more mindful and meaningful life.
I think you're absolutely right. And one of the first things that really stuck out to me was Hadith 286, where the Prophet encourages his followers to feed the hungry,
Right.
visit the sick and free captives.
Yes.
It's such a powerful reminder of the importance of charity and compassion, especially in the context of food.
And it's crucial to understand the context of this hadith.
Okay.
At the time, Medina, where the prophet resided, was this bustling hub with people from really diverse backgrounds,
Hmm.
including those struggling with poverty and hardship. So
Yeah.
placing food at the forefront of acts of kindness,
Right.
it underscores its significance not just for sustenance,
Right.
but for fostering a just and compassionate society.
It's really interesting how this hadith connects food with social responsibility.
Yeah,
It's not just about personal consumption. It's about recognizing our interconnectedness
exactly.
and ensuring the well-being of those around us.
Absolutely. And what makes this even more profound is the fact that the prophet himself experienced hunger.
Oh, wow.
Hadith 287 reveals that he and his family didn't eat their fill for 3 days before his death.
Wow, that's really striking. I mean, you'd think someone of his stature
Right.
would have had access to abundant food.
You would think so. But this juxtaposition of advocating for feeding the hungry while personally enduring hunger, I think speaks volumes about the prophet's character and the importance he placed on empathy and action.
Yeah.
It's a potent reminder that true compassion stems from understanding the struggles of others, even regarding basic needs like food.
It really makes you think about how many people around the world still face hunger on a daily basis.
Every day.
It's a sobering reminder that food insecurity is a persistent issue that demands our attention
Yes, it does.
and action.
Absolutely. The prophet's experience and his teachings on charity serve as a powerful call to action for us to address these issues collectively and strive for a world where everyone has access to adequate nourishment.
I think that's such a great point.
Yeah.
Now let's dive into a specific story that I found really touching.
Okay.
Hadith 287 NEC. It tells the tale of Abu Huraira, who was so weak with hunger that he collapsed. The Prophet, upon finding him, not only helped him up, but personally took him home and offered him a large bowl of milk, repeatedly encouraging him to drink until he was satisfied.
This act goes beyond mere charity. It's a
Yeah.
beautiful illustration of the prophet's profound kindness and generosity.
Yeah.
Imagine being so hungry that you collapse and then encountering someone who not only offers you food, but ensures you eat to your heart's content.
It's a really heartwarming story, and it highlights the importance of empathy and really going the extra mile to help those in need.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, we see a profound message about contentment.
Hmm.
True satisfaction doesn't stem from possessing an abundance of material wealth, but from sharing what we have and ensuring the well-being of others.
Yeah, it's a powerful message that challenges our consumerist culture,
Definitely.
where we're constantly bombarded with messages about acquiring more and more.
Yes.
This hadith reminds us that true fulfillment lies in connection, compassion, and contributing to the welfare of others.
Precisely. Now let's shift gears a bit
Okay.
and explore the prophet's teachings on table manners.
Okay.
Hadiths 288, 289, and 290 focus on instructions given to Umar bin Abi Salama,
Okay.
the prophet's stepson.
Okay.
He was advised to eat with his right hand and from the nearest part of the dish.
These might seem like minor details, but they reveal a much deeper emphasis
Right.
on mindfulness and etiquette during meals.
Absolutely. In a world where we often rush through meals, barely paying attention to what we're eating,
I know.
these hadiths encourage us to slow down and savor each bite.
Yeah.
Eating with the right hand, a common practice in many cultures, promotes a sense of intentionality and respect for the food.
It's like transforming a simple act like eating into a mindful practice, appreciating not just the taste of the food, but also the effort that went into preparing it.
And it's interesting to note that these teachings align beautifully with modern mindfulness practices and mindful eating. By being fully present during meals, we cultivate gratitude, reduce stress, and enhance our overall well-being.
It's so fascinating how these ancient practices resonate so deeply with contemporary approaches to health and well-being.
Indeed. And speaking of mindfulness, let's delve into the Prophet's preference for simplicity
Okay.
in meals.
Oh.
Hadiths 297, 298, and 326 reveal that he didn't eat thin bread, roasted sheep, or from a dining table.
Okay.
This might seem stark to us today,
Yeah.
but it reflects a profound sense of gratitude for whatever sustenance was available.
It's a really powerful challenge to our modern-day obsession with gourmet foods and elaborate dining experiences.
Absolutely. The Prophet's example reminds us that true satisfaction doesn't come from extravagant displays, but from a grateful heart and a deep appreciation for the nourishment we receive.
It's such a valuable lesson in contentment and recognizing that material possessions don't equate to happiness.
Exactly. The Prophet's approach to food was deeply intertwined with his spiritual practice, demonstrating that even simple acts like eating can be infused with mindfulness and gratitude.
That's beautiful.
And, as we kind of delve deeper into these hadiths, it becomes even more apparent that food was much more than just sustenance for the Prophet. It was a vehicle for teaching these really profound lessons about character, ethics, and spirituality.
Yeah, it's truly remarkable how something as everyday as eating can be imbued with such deep meaning.
Right.
It really encourages us to rethink our own relationship with food, doesn't it?
It certainly does.
Mm-hmm.
Take, for instance, Hadith 293.
Okay.
It recounts the story of how the Prophet, upon hearing that Abu Talha's wife, Sulam, had some barley bread,
Okay.
gathered his companions and went to their house.
Wow.
Sulam, realizing that, the bread wouldn't suffice for everyone, instructed her husband to crush it into small pieces and add butter.
Oh.
The Prophet then blessed the food, and miraculously, it fed 80 men.
That story always leaves me in awe. Sometimes when I'm cooking for friends, I get caught up in making everything look fancy and Instagram worthy.
Right.
But this hadith reminds me that true hospitality comes from the heart.
Yes.
It's about genuine generosity and creating a welcoming atmosphere, wouldn't you agree?
I completely agree.
Yeah.
This hadith so beautifully highlights the Prophet's humility and his willingness to share even the simplest of meals with his companions. It also underscores the importance of community and the transformative power of gathering together to share a meal.
It's a beautiful reminder that food can be a powerful tool for forging connections and strengthening bonds. It's not about lavish feasts or elaborate presentations, but about the simple act of sharing a meal and enjoying each other's company.
Indeed. And speaking of sharing, let's move on to Hadith 294.
Okay.
This account describes how the Prophet and his companions, numbering 130, were sitting together when a stranger arrived with some sheep.
Okay.
The Prophet purchased a sheep, had it slaughtered, and instructed that its organs, the liver, kidneys, lungs, and heart, be roasted.
Wow.
The cooked meat was then served on these two large trays, and everyone present ate their fill.
Mm-hmm.
Remarkably, there was still food left over.
It's incredible how a prophet consistently demonstrated his commitment to ensuring everyone was well fed,
Yes,
even in situations where resources might have seemed limited.
exactly. It's a testament to his deep concern for the well-being of others and his unwavering commitment to hospitality.
It's interesting how so many of these hadiths revolve around the act of sharing food. It seems to have been a central aspect of the Prophet's life and teachings.
Absolutely. Sharing food wasn't merely a social custom. It
Okay.
was this profound way to demonstrate care, build community, and uphold the values of generosity and compassion.
I think these stories prompt us to reflect on our own relationship with food and how often we take it for granted. They remind us to be thankful for the abundance we have and to be mindful of those who may not be as fortunate.
Speaking of simplicity, let's look at Hadith 295.
Okay.
This hadith tells us that when the Prophet passed away, he and his family had only dates and water to eat.
This image always strikes me as incredibly poignant.
Yeah.
It speaks to the Prophet's detachment from material possessions and his unwavering focus on his mission. It's a stark contrast to the extravagance and excess we often see in the world today.
Indeed, this hadith challenges our modern-day notions of what constitutes a good life.
Right.
It encourages us to reevaluate our priorities and recognize that true wealth lies not in material possessions,
Right.
but in spiritual richness and contentment.
It's a profound message that resonates deeply in our consumer-driven society.
Absolutely. And this theme of simplicity continues in Hadith 296, where we learn that the Prophet and his companions, while on a journey to Khaybar, had nothing to eat but this simple food called sawiq,
Okay.
made from ground barley.
Imagine embarking on a journey with only ground barley as sustenance.
Wow.
It's a testament to the Prophet's resilience, adaptability,
Right.
and his ability to find contentment in even the most basic of provisions.
This hadith challenges our modern-day obsession with convenience and instant gratification.
Yeah.
It reminds us that true satisfaction comes from appreciating the basics and finding nourishment in whatever form it takes. It's a powerful lesson in resourcefulness and making the most of what one has, even in challenging circumstances.
Now, shifting gears a bit, I'd love to hear more about Hadith 299.
Okay.
This hadith describes the Prophet's wedding banquet after his marriage to Safiya.
Yes.
The meal was simple, consisting of dates, dried yogurt, and butter, served on leather dining sheets.
Even on such a special occasion, the Prophet chose to maintain simplicity and avoid extravagance.
Right.
It speaks volumes about his humility and his focus on the essence of the celebration, the union of two individuals,
Yeah.
rather than outward appearances.
It's refreshing to see how the Prophet's actions consistently aligned with his teachings on humility and simplicity.
This hadith challenges societal norms that often equate elaborate celebrations with happiness and success. It reminds us that true joy lies in genuine connections,
Well.
shared experiences, and gratitude for the simple blessings in life.
It's a valuable lesson, especially in today's world where we're constantly bombarded with messages about
Yeah.
how we should be celebrating and what constitutes a successful event.
Indeed, the Prophet's example encourages us to focus on what truly matters: meaningful relationships, shared moments, and gratitude for the simple blessings in life.
So in wrapping up this section of our deep dive, we've seen how the Prophet embodied simplicity and contentment, even in situations of scarcity.
Yes.
We've also witnessed his incredible generosity and his unwavering commitment to sharing what he had with others.
And we've learned that even special occasions were marked by humility and a focus on the essence of the celebration rather than outward displays of wealth or extravagance.
These stories are truly inspiring and thought-provoking. They provide a roadmap for living a life rooted in gratitude, compassion, and mindful consumption. Now, I'm eager to hear more about the specific types of food the Prophet ate
Okay.
and his preferences. Let's delve into that aspect next.
Now, moving on to a different aspect, let's explore some hadiths that provide insights into the Prophet's hygiene practices related to food. Hadith 366, narrated by Ibn Abbas, states that the Prophet said, "When you eat, do not wipe your hands till you have licked it or had it licked by somebody else."
That's an interesting one. I imagine some listeners might find that a bit surprising.
It's definitely a practice that reflects the values and norms of the time.
Yeah.
Back then, resources were scarce, and wasting even a small amount of food was strongly discouraged.
Right.
This hadith emphasizes minimizing waste and appreciating the value of every morsel of food.
It makes me think about how much food we waste today without even thinking twice.
Right.
This hadith is a reminder to be more mindful of our consumption and to avoid unnecessary waste.
Absolutely. And there's also this beautiful element of community in this practice. Sharing food and even cleaning one's hands together fostered a sense of unity and togetherness.
I love how these hadiths reveal these subtle yet profound aspects of their culture.
Indeed, now Hadith 367 sheds light on the practice of performing ablution after eating a cooked meal. For those unfamiliar, ablution is the ritual washing of certain parts of the body before prayer.
Right.
Said bin al-Harith narrates that Jabir bin Abdullah, when asked about this, replied, "It is not essential."
Okay.
He further explains that during the Prophet's time, such meals were rare, and they didn't have handkerchiefs.
Right.
They would simply wipe their hands on their palms, forearms, and feet, and then pray without performing a new ablution.
So this highlights the practicality and adaptability of the Prophet's teachings.
Exactly.
Ritual purity was important, but it wasn't meant to be burdensome or an obstacle to prayer.
The emphasis was on sincerity and devotion,
Right.
and external rituals were adapted to fit the circumstances.
It's a reminder that our spiritual practices should be meaningful and not overly rigid.
Now, transitioning to a topic I know you're particularly interested in, let's delve into some hadiths that offer glimpses into the types of food the Prophet consumed and his preferences.
I'm all ears. I always find it fascinating to learn about the culinary traditions of different cultures and times.
Well, you're in for a treat. Hadith 351, narrated by Abdullah bin Jafar and Abi Talib, states that he saw the Prophet eating fresh dates with snake cucumber.
That's an interesting combination. I've never heard of snake cucumber before.
It's a variety of cucumber that was commonly cultivated in the region.
Right.
Dates and cucumbers were readily available and provided essential nutrients, making it a simple yet wholesome meal.
Right.
This reflects the Prophet's preference for natural, unprocessed foods.
It's inspiring to see how he prioritized simple and nourishing foods. It's a good reminder that healthy eating doesn't have to be complicated.
Absolutely. And in Hadith 342, narrated by Aisha, we learn that the Prophet had a fondness for sweet, edible things and honey.
That's not surprising at all. Honey has always been prized for its sweetness and its health benefits.
Exactly. Honey was highly valued for its medicinal properties as well as its delightful taste.
Mhm.
This hadith reminds us that enjoying food and savoring its flavors is part of a balanced and healthy lifestyle.
It's about finding that sweet spot between nourishing our bodies and indulging in the pleasures of taste.
Precisely, and now moving on to Hadith 344, Anas narrates that the Prophet went to the house of his slave tailor and was offered a dish of gourd.
Okay.
Anas, observing the Prophet's enjoyment of the gourd, developed a liking for it himself.
This hadith is so heartwarming. It shows how the Prophet's actions influence those around him. It also highlights that he was open to trying different foods.
Indeed, the Prophet's willingness to try new foods encourages us to be more adventurous in our own culinary explorations.
It's a reminder to step outside of our comfort zones and embrace the diversity of flavors that the world has to offer.
And to wrap up this exploration of the Prophet's dietary habits and teachings, let's revisit a hadith that beautifully illustrates the spiritual impact of the Quran in Hadith 338. The Prophet compares a believer who recites the Quran to a citron which smells good and tastes good.
A powerful analogy. It suggests that just as a citron is pleasing to both the senses of smell and taste, a believer who engages with the Quran radiates goodness both internally and externally.
Exactly. The recitation and contemplation of the Quran nourish the soul and inspire righteous actions, creating this beautiful harmony between inner faith and outward conduct.
It's a reminder that our spiritual practices should have a tangible, positive impact on our lives and on the world around us.
And with that insightful observation, we come to the end of our deep dive into this remarkable collection of hadiths.
We've learned so much about the Prophet's approach to food. It was characterized by simplicity, moderation, a deep sense of gratitude, and an unwavering commitment to sharing with others. His actions beautifully reflected his teachings, emphasizing social responsibility, compassion, and mindfulness. We've also been reminded that food can be a powerful tool for building communities, strengthening relationships, and nurturing both our physical and spiritual well-being. These timeless teachings offer valuable insights that can guide us in cultivating a healthier, more ethical, and more spiritually fulfilling relationship with food.
I couldn't agree more. It's been a truly enriching journey exploring these profound teachings.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the Prophet's dietary habits and teachings. Until next time, may your meals be filled with blessings, and may we all strive to make food a source of nourishment, connection, and gratitude in our lives.